Good afternoon, everybody. The Ohio State Buckeyes are the Big Ten champions for the fourth year in a row. Slow going there in the first half, Justin, but picked up towards the end. Some record-setting performances by some of these players. What did you think of the game?
Yeah, very uncharacteristic for Ohio State. They trailed for 30 minutes in this football game. They didn't score their first touchdown until the 2:41 mark of the third quarter. So just a surprise there because, it just was not how this Ohio State team has looked all season. But credit to them coming through on the win, 22-10, the final score against Northwestern. And like you said, a record-breaking day for their running back, Trey Sermon. 331 yards. That's a new single-game record for Ohio State and a new single-game record for the Big Ten Championship. He broke Eddie George's record for Ohio State and Ezekiel Elliott's Big Ten Championship record back in 2014. And this stat is probably the craziest of all of them. 22 carries for him in the second half, 271 yards in the second half. Unbelievable. The team as a whole ran for 399 yards rushing, only had like 114 yards passing. So really the way the team ran the football and finally decided to run the football in the fourth quarter is the story of this game, and the defense played well.
Some really, really big names there. Eddie George, Zeke,
Yeah.
Huge
Good
names,
company.
huge records, great company to be
Yeah.
in, especially for that Big Ten championship record as well. It's just incredible. But I think the key word that you said there that I think a lot of Ohio State fans are feeling right now is they finally ran the ball in the fourth quarter. A lot of people, being vocal on that on social media, like, run the ball. It's working, it's working, it's working, especially when they were down by a lot. And it worked towards the end.
Very much so. I mean, the way that split, this is an Ohio State team that's one of, if not the most well-balanced football teams in the country. They're the only team in all of college football that throws for more than 250 yards a game and runs for more than 250 yards a game. And this one, they completely abandoned the pass because they had to, but they did it pretty late. They did it right around the fourth quarter. And I think they started to realize, hey, this running game is going to be unstoppable against Northwestern. It was the whole game. They were just calling it very sporadically, some odd play calling, a couple interceptions from Justin Fields. He has 5 on the season now, but they finally realized in that late third quarter, fourth quarter window that, you know what, let's just keep giving the ball to Trey Sermon because it's working, and it never really stopped working.
Seems like in the comments here, watching it on Facebook right now, that people seem to have a new favorite player, which Trey being the guy. They're saying, thank goodness for Trey. And Caitlin, I'm kind of laughing here. She said they were just saving their adrenaline for the last half of the game, last quarter of the game, really. I don't know if that was the strategy, but it may look like that.
Very similar to last year against Wisconsin. They were trailing 21-7 at the half. They ended up winning that game 34-21 in the Big Ten Championship. So, last year they trailed at halftime, and then this year they came back and won by double digits just like last year. But
absolutely.
This was a long time coming for Trey Sermon, a transfer from Oklahoma. They actually just won the Big 12 championship today. He had a long path to be here, and it's a much-deserved game for him. It's going to be something that Ohio State remembers for a long time. Like I said, breaking that single-game record by Eddie George.
Amazing. Truly, truly amazing effort there by him. Right now, if you guys are just joining us, thank you so much for being here. Christine Varconi and Justin Holbrook in the NBC4i Streaming Center. Right now, we are waiting for the post-game press conferences. I know they probably have to do a trophy presentation right now. I don't have a monitor or anything, but I'm sure they're doing that right now on the field there in Indy. The Buckeyes accepting their 4th in a row Big Ten championship trophy. It's a pretty one. It's the silver football. Real nice there. So we're waiting for Ryan Day and different coaches and players to come out and talk about it. I wonder, we'll probably hear from Trey himself, you think?
I would imagine so, yeah. And I imagine it's going to be a lot of just a feeling of, I made the right decision to come to Ohio State. He obviously needed to leave Oklahoma as a grad transfer, came here. He's been waiting for a moment like this all season long, and he's had a few moments of it, but not an entire game like this one. And the second half is the reason Ohio State won the game, and that's because, for a large part, Trey Sermon. And let's give some credit to the defense too, only giving up 10 points the entire game, and 105 yards rushing to this Northwestern team. They love to run the football. They prefer to run the football. They had more yards passing than they did rushing. That's not something they do. This season they've had I think it was 300 rushing attempts to some 200 passing attempts. They much prefer to run the football, and they just couldn't today because Ohio State has a top 5 rushing defense in the country, and they showed why against Northwestern today.
Their quarterback, great job that he did today. After being shut down, run play after run play, really shut down by the Ohio State defense, but their quarterback really kind of rose to the occasion and gave them a lot of conversions there.
He gave them some opportunities. Yeah, they had some long third down passes that they converted on. That's something that Ohio State's going to need to fix should they make the college football playoff, which I think they should. But yeah, he played well. Peyton Ramsey, not a bad quarterback. He was pretty efficient the whole game. He did have that mistake throwing a pick to Justin Hilliard in the end zone, and that was really a huge moment in the game because right there, Northwestern is up 10-6 early in the third quarter. They're on their first drive coming out of halftime, and they're wanting to take a big lead against Ohio State, and that could have been a momentum swing way for the Cats, but instead Justin Hilliard, a guy from Cincinnati, comes up with the interception, and he also had a fumble recovery in this game too.
Yeah, good game for him there. Again, guys, if you are just joining us, thank you so much, Ohio State Buckeyes. Now the Big Ten champions officially. After that rules change, we were worried there for a little bit, Justin, that they perhaps might not be able to play because they didn't play the set amount of games that they were supposed to play due to different COVID cancellations, 2 by opposing teams, 1 by them, right? Yeah. So they had to have 3 games canceled this season. Was worried that they would not be able to play for this championship game, but they were, and they win it for the 4th time in a row. Again, waiting for head coach Ryan Day, different players and coaches to come out and give their post-game press conference to see what they have to say about this. Now, is tomorrow the selection day?
Tomorrow's selection day. We're going to find out who makes it, who doesn't. Obviously, Clemson, Notre Dame playing in a little bit, and you have Alabama, Florida later tonight. Texas A&M won their game, so they're trying to make their push to be in the playoff. But Ohio State, not their best game, probably their worst game of the season, but they ended up winning by 12 points. It's a solid win. It's a win over a top 15 team in Northwestern, so I think it's good enough to get into the playoff. And let's talk about Ohio State. They're without 23 players today, not all of them due to COVID. We don't know who was out because of COVID and who wasn't. The only guy that we know is Drew Chrisman because he tweeted out that he tested positive. But aside from that, we're not sure who was out because of what. But we do know that they played and won without Baron Browning, without Marcus Hooker, without Tyler Friday, without Chris Olave, probably their best receiver, if not second best behind Garrett Wilson. So this was a team that was still missing pieces in this game and still found a way to win, which at the end of the day, that's all you have to do to get into the playoff.
Absolutely. So we got more championship games. What are you thinking? Who do you think will be in the top 4 if all goes to plan today on this championship Saturday?
It's tough to say. I mean, there's a what if scenario for everything,
yes.
Right? So I think Ohio State got that 4 spot because of their win today, and then from there it's up in the air because you have Clemson playing Notre Dame. So if Notre Dame beats Clemson, maybe Clemson slides out of the top 4 because Notre Dame has already beaten the Tigers once this season. But if Clemson beats Notre Dame, then both of those teams will make the playoff. So there's 3 teams right there. So let's say Clemson wins. That's Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State. And then it comes down to the game tonight for Alabama. If the Crimson Tide can beat Florida, which they should, Florida lost to LSU last week, inexplicably so, then Alabama will get the number 1 spot. So it'll shake out that way with Alabama, Clemson, you have Notre Dame and Ohio State. But
sounds familiar.
If things don't go to plan and Florida beats Alabama, we'll see what happens. I think Alabama still makes it. And then the question becomes, okay, do we pick Ohio State or do we pick Florida or Texas A&M because they played more games? But I think you still have to pick the Buckeyes.
All right, so it looks like they're about ready to start. Sorry, I was distracted there. I'm listening to a little bit of the post-game press conference there as the Ohio State athletic team gets ready to start that. Let me get this pulled up and ready to go for us so we don't miss any of it. So again, Ohio State Buckeyes are taking the podium there in Indy to talk about their win over Northwestern for the Big Ten championship game. Looks like we're getting the 2-minute warning there, so we have a little bit more time to talk, Justin. So Notre Dame and Clemson is definitely the game to watch. Is that an 8 o'clock game tonight?
I believe that's coming up here shortly.
Oh, is it?
Double check the time of that game. Yeah, but for the interim, let's just talk about. Yeah, it's a 4 o'clock game.
Okay.
So let's just talk about Ohio State. The things that they've had to go through this season, coronavirus, not knowing if they were going to have a season, when the season was going to start, how many games they were going to get to play, and just having games canceled throughout the year. Obviously, they had to cancel against Illinois, and then last week, Michigan canceled against them. Mm-hmm. And to finally get here and see that it was worth it to win a Big Ten championship, their 4th in a row, I think no matter what happens the rest of the season, they're going to say, I'm glad that we got to play this 2020 college football season.
Justin, I think it's kind of unbelievable. What did the season, the Big Ten season, Ohio State season, kicked off only, 8 or 9 weeks ago or something?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it was a super short season. They only had
short season.
Yeah. This is only their 6th game the whole year. They were supposed to have 8 leading up to this.
Yeah, so this would have been week 9, math,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's just crazy to think about that. And it does seem like a lot longer, I think, because of all the anticipation that, yes, we're having a season. No, we're not having a season. And then
Yeah.
finally really getting a date nailed down. I know a lot of people not happy with the Big Ten, not leaving a lot of room for flexibility as far as rescheduling games, and we saw that. Nobody was able to do that.
But they're justified, I think, in their decision to say you don't have to play 6 games in the regular season to qualify. They knew Ohio State was the best team in the conference. And today, the Buckeyes, they didn't play their best, but they did show that they are the best team in the Big Ten,
Certainly.
beating Northwestern 22-10.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people, whether you like Ohio State or not, a lot of people kind of were in agreement that it was the right decision, especially if you want to be a contender for the national championship game.
No doubt, no doubt. And now you have a spot probably in the college football playoff. We'll find that out tomorrow for sure. And that'll be their second straight trip to the CFP because last year they obviously played Clemson in the semifinal.
Got to figure out exactly where they're going. Who knows where these games are going to be with the
No
travel
idea.
plans and stuff like that, but definitely not as with anything this year, and absolutely nothing is set in stone. So
That's very true.
We can plan hotels and flights and trips so many weeks and months out, but definitely a play it by ear situation. So
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm not saying I really enjoyed the football season, just being an Ohio State fan, of course, but I'm not gonna lie, I'll be a lot happier next year when it's back to normal, as will everybody. I don't think that's anything unique, but just like the traditions, and I really missed being at the stadium this year. I missed the skull session, I missed the band, I missed the atmosphere so much.
I think a lot of people did, and they missed out on getting to see one of the best Ohio State teams, I think, in history. Obviously, if they had played more games, they probably would have gotten better as the season went along. And Ryan Day just says, we needed experience, and that's probably why they were pretty slow in the first half, because when you play a top 15 team, which Northwestern is, it's going to take a little bit to adjust. And let's not forget, Northwestern is the #2 scoring defense in the entire country and #1 in the Big Ten. They only give up 14 points a game. So they showed why today. They're not a bad team. They're a very good football team. They stopped a very good football team in Ohio State. Justin Fields did not have an answer passing today. So they abandoned the pass eventually, went to the run. They showed that they can win more ways than one. And a deserving team to be in the college football playoff.
Oh yeah, I'm reading some more of our Facebook comments here. Trey Sermon, really, people are just really liking him now. Of course, really just happy for him. Passing Eddie George's records, it's just incredible day for him. I'm really looking forward to hearing from him. Have we heard too much from him in these press conferences, Justin? I'm not recalling.
We talked to him 2 weeks ago against Michigan State. He had a pretty solid game. Once again, Ohio State had more than 200 yards rushing, and he was a big part of that. He was probably right around that 150 mark. I mean, he had a solid game that game as well. And everyone thought that was his big come-out game. And then, let's fast forward to this week, 331 yards.
Amazing.
It's still crazy to say out loud. I mean, it's like a NCAA football video game. But, I mean, yeah, a big moment for him, a well-deserved moment for him and for the entire Ohio State team.
Sandy's bringing up a good point here. She's talking about Justin Fields and his thumb. Do you know any insight of what's going on there? We did see him go off to the side for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll find out some more here in this press conference, or maybe they're going to keep it under wraps and get it x-rayed. We'll see. But, an uncharacteristic interception in the end zone for him right before halftime. Ohio State was trying to take the lead. It was a great one-handed snag by
heck of a catch.
Yeah, Brandon Joseph. He's got 6 interceptions this year. That was a great one-handed catch. And then there was a little miscommunication on that second interception to Jamison Williams. But the defense bailed him out. You know what I mean? Ohio State ended up getting interception 2 from Justin Hilliard. They forced a fumble. They forced a 3-and-out after Justin Fields threw that interception, that second one. So every time that he made a mistake, the defense was there to answer and make up for it.
Yeah, A+ to the defense today.
No doubt.
Today as well. They did a great job holding Northwestern to just 10 points there. Again, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Just if you are joining us, we are waiting. We were given a 2-minute warning. Looks like they might be running a little bit behind, maybe celebrating that Big Ten championship win with the trophy presentation there, waiting for head coach Ryan Day to come out and talk, as well as different players and coaches after Ohio State's victory, Big Ten championship over Northwestern. Justin, who else stood out to you today? Obviously, we had Trey, and then we were talking about the defense as well. Any notables there?
Let's talk about the offensive line. I mean, it's
Okay.
only possible to have a
True.
331-yard rushing day because of the offensive line.
Absolutely.
And they missed 3 starters, 4 frequent players against that game against Michigan State a few weeks ago. And the offensive line, most of them came back today. Pretty much all of them came back. So I know we love to credit one person because that's the stat line that you see the
Of
name
course.
next to. But if you look at it as a whole, that unit, the offensive line, one of the best, if not the best, in football today. And yeah, I mean, give credit all around to Ohio State's defense by only giving up 10 points. That's a pretty impressive performance. And the secondary, I thought they played overall pretty well. I mean, this is a team that was playing without Marcus Hooker. Josh Proctor was relied on heavily, so was Marcus Williamson, and they didn't really give up too many big plays. They gave up a few big third down conversions, but it didn't lead to points. It only led to a field goal and a touchdown in the first quarter. After giving up that touchdown in the first quarter, Ohio State basically gave up nothing on the scoreboard.
Knowing Ohio State players and just how well they are coached and just the great men that they are, I'm sure we'll see Trey Sermon talk a lot about that offensive line. And,
I think so.
Yeah, so
He gave credit to them in that Michigan State game, and I'm
Yeah.
sure he will as well today.
Absolutely. Again, everybody taking a little bit longer than usual to get around to these post-game press conferences, waiting for Ryan Day, different players and coaches to come out and talk about the game. We were given a little bit of a 2-minute warning or so, but it looks like they are celebrating their win as they should. I agree. Justin, coming up tonight, do we have all of the shows? Are we preempted by anything tonight? 6, 7, and Pepsi Sports.
All shows. Yep, we're gonna have you fully covered on this Ohio State win and what it means for the college football playoffs
What
too.
can people expect to see from you guys?
I think the big thing is we're going to break down how Trey Sermon's performance was possible, the way that the defense stepped up, and Ohio State's passing game not being up to par of what it usually is. Justin Fields, not his average day. He had like 120 yards passing, 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns passing, which is a stat that really pops out to me because they average 250 yards, some through the air, and they average 3 touchdowns passing a game. So not having that performance from him, I think you're going to get a lot of questions about why did you not decide to run the football more frequently earlier in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Why not go to that run? But also, what was it about the pass game that wasn't working today? Obviously, Chris Olave was out, but that shouldn't be the reason. Maybe it was Northwestern's defense is just that good, but you're going to play some really good defenses in the college football playoff, so they're going to have to answer questions about why Justin Fields in the pass offense wasn't good in this game against Northwestern.
Who do you think do you think Ohio State is going to be 4, or you think they're going to be 2, 3 potentially?
I think that depends on who wins today and who loses.
Okay.
If so let's say Clemson wins, right? Then I think they'll be 2 or 3, and Notre Dame will be 2 or 3. Ohio State will stay at 4 if Alabama wins, so Alabama will be number 1.
Yeah,
But,
Ohio State Alabama matchup. I know how they love those.
Yeah, but if Alabama loses, we'll see where they slide. If they keep them at a higher spot, like a 1, 2, or 3, or if Ohio State jumps up a spot, I think that the committee would love to see Ohio State play Clemson in the semifinal.
You think again?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they would love to see that because it would be bad for the committee if Clemson and Notre Dame were to play a third time and then play
true.
like 2 weeks later when they're playing today and they already played one more time this season. So that would be their third game against each other.
Yeah.
I think they'd like to avoid that at all costs because they'd rather see a ratings bonanza of Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Notre Dame.
True. Yeah. Well, Ohio State Notre Dame would also be another ratings
Yeah,
bonanza.
no
That's
doubt.
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to play Clemson. I'm not gonna lie. I don't
Yeah.
want to do it again. That was a heartbreak. Ripped my heart out last year. I don't want to do it.
I can tell you who does want to play them. That's the players.
Oh, I'm sure.
They are itching.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They want to redeem themselves.
Yes.
I do not blame them whatsoever. But I mean,
That's the reason why some of the players even came back this year. Guys like Sean Wade said, "This is why I'm coming back. We have to get back to that game and avenge that loss." Wyatt Davis said the same thing. These were guys that could have left and decided, you know what, I'm going to come back because that just left a bad taste in our mouths
They are
last
just
year.
players. They are fierce players, man. They just are so competitive
Dogs.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Dogs.
My heart can't handle it. Oh man, you were here last year. Were you? Oh no, you were out there. You were in
Arizona. Yeah.
You were in Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everybody else got to watch my meltdown. It was a bad day for me.
Yeah.
Man, it was a heartbreaker
But
for sure.
this is a celebration day.
Yeah, sorry.
Positive vibes.
Positive vibes, yes. The will be avenged. Sorry,
Yeah.
Debbie Downer, Ohio State fan occasionally. Sorry about that.
Yeah. A few things to clean up. Maybe red zone offense for Ohio State. They settled for a few field goals. They got deep in territory and could have taken advantage a little bit more. So you'd like to see them improve in that area. And that's something that they suffered in. I know it's a different team, but last year they settled for 3 field goals against Clemson last year. So can't make those kind of mistakes if you're hoping to win a playoff game.
Certainly not. Again, we are still waiting for the
celebrating on the field.
Yeah, they are celebrating. Are you watching? I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, a little bit of the celebration.
A little bit. So again, we are waiting for the coaches and players to come out to give their post-game press conferences. I keep saying should be any minute now. Should be any minute now. I mean, can't not be any minute now. So we're just waiting on them. What else is happening? You said Oklahoma won?
Yep, Oklahoma won today. They beat Iowa State. Iowa State was ranked 6th in the country. Oklahoma was ranked 10th. So if things go absolutely crazy bananas, Florida beats Alabama and then Notre Dame, it's very possible that they'll beat Clemson. Then you could see a scenario where Oklahoma leapfrogs everybody, Cincinnati included and Texas A&M included. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
Stranger things have happened.
Yes. And you know that Oklahoma draws eyeballs to playoff games. The committee does not reflect about what ratings look like for them.
Oh, certainly not. But I think with the solid, the top 4 that that a lot of people are thinking of, the Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State. That's not going to be ratings gold as well.
Yeah, and that's just a tough break for Cincinnati because they have a chance to finish their season undefeated. They're going to get overlooked. Not saying it's fair, but the playoff has never been fair. That's just kind of reality of the situation, and they might even pass up a team like Cincinnati and pick a 2-loss Clemson. Anything could happen with the playoff. We've seen that in the past. One thing that we have seen every single year is that the committee does not take teams that have 2 losses. No. But this has been a season unlike any other. So if there was a year where they would take a team with 2 losses, this would be the year.
Yeah, I'd be curious just to see the Ohio State team had this year been normal, just because of all of the potential talent that they talked about, how excited they were really about this specific football team. We heard Ryan Day really talk about it whenever they did cancel the season, how they wanted to fight just so hard because specifically this team was so good. Obviously we can't play what ifs, but I just would like to imagine if they had 10 plus games this year, what they would have looked like and what the playoff would have shaken out to be like.
Yeah, it's one of those that we'll just never know the answer to that. And maybe it is a good thing that they had 6 games this year. Maybe that was plenty for them to get in the playoff and avoid a loss around a week 7 or a week 8. Not saying that they would have, but it's possible. We've seen a team like Ohio State, as dominant as they are, lose to a Purdue, lose to a Iowa in a game on the road in the middle of the season. And you avoid having to do something like that. And they won the games that they were supposed to win. So that's all that you can do. You can't really focus on, what the season would have looked like. You just go out, win the games that you're supposed to win, however many there may be this year, and then that should be good enough to get into a playoff.
Well, they did it, so we'll see come tomorrow how everything shakes out. Again, thank you guys so much for watching us. We are still waiting for the Ohio State coaches, head coach Ryan Day, and players to come out after their victory over Northwestern for their 4th straight Big Ten championship title there in Indianapolis. They were celebrating. I'm sure they're just so relieved to maybe just kind of get this season past them and just focusing on staying healthy and preparing for the playoff wherever that might be.
Yeah, and whoever may be playing in it, because right now the Big Ten has a 21-day rule for players that test positive. Today, Ohio State had 23 guys that were out. We're not saying all of them were COVID cases. We're not sure how many of them were. We do know that Tyler Friday and Marcus Hooker were not, because they were on the sideline today. So that's a non-COVID related scratch from the game. Yeah. So that's good news for Ohio State. But we don't know who's going to be allowed to play in that game with that 21-day rule that you have to miss a game. And maybe the Big Ten, just like the Big Ten Championship, changes that rule so that way they can get some players back and be able to play in a semifinal game should they make it.
Reading some comments here from some, I'm assuming, Indiana fans, not happy about the rule change in the first place. I'd be curious to see how unhappy, or maybe them thinking that might not be fair. But I mean, the CDC changed their guidelines. Maybe the Big Ten will change theirs. We'll see.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, Indiana, I understand you guys had a really good football team this year. It's not saying that you're not a top team, but Ohio State deserves this spot and this chance.
All right, Justin Fields is taking the podium right now. Let's listen in.
Keep it 5 minutes. All right, Justin, congratulations. And folks, with the questions, just remember we got a lot of hands raised and not a lot of time, so we're going to limit it to one question. Jared Smalley, start us.
Hi, Justin. Wanted to ask you about the commitment you all had as a team to throw the ball early in the game, committed to it throughout the first half, early into the second half. What was the point when you all decided to make that switch, you and Ryan and the offensive staff working together? When did you decide you needed to just tuck it and run?
When did we decide that?
Yeah, what was the point in the game where you all realized you needed to run the ball?
I mean, I just think, Trey had a lot of explosive runs out there. I mean, he played his ass off. He did a great job today. So I think, when you have a player that's in a rhythm like that, you just have to keep feeding him the ball, and that's what we did. So.
All right, we'll go next to Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Justin, can you update us on how your thumb is feeling and where you go from here? How much that might have limited you late in the game?
Yeah, it's pretty stiff right now. I really can't move it, but I think it's just a sprain, so probably just get some ice on it, and it should be good in a few days.
All righty, next up, Bill Landis, The Athletic.
Justin, when did you hurt your hand in the game, and did you feel like it was impacting your ability to throw the ball at all?
I heard it. I forgot what play I heard it on. I think it was a third down in the red zone when I hit that dude, and I tried to put my hand down to brace myself for the ground, but it kind of landed on straight up my thumb, and it kind of just bent backwards. So, but yeah, after that, I told coach that I really couldn't throw the ball. I mean, it was getting stiffer by the second. So, I think the last ball I completed was that out route to Garrett, and then after that, I mean, it was killing me. So, hopefully, we have a good amount of time so I can get it recovered and healed up. So. Yeah.
All right, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Justin, how much did it kind of throw things off for you to not have Chris Olave out there today? And in what ways did you guys miss him just in the offense overall?
I mean, yeah, when you don't have one of your top receivers on the team, of course, it's going to make my job harder. But I just think Northwestern did a great job on defense. There's a sound defense. They did a great job, doing their jobs. But, yeah, I mean, it's really on me, to be honest with you. I wish I could say that, they just had it locked down. But, again, I just have to be flat out better, and that's that. I'm not trying to make any excuses. I just have to be better. So, yeah.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, Justin, I know you're not going to blame the thumb, but how much can you say it really did affect the way you threw? And was there a point where you considered coming out of the game because of it, because you just weren't throwing it?
I mean, in the first half, it wasn't even the thumb. It was just, I think it was just overall execution, and again, that falls on me. I'm not blaming it on my thumb because I don't want people to look at it, my thumb as an excuse. It's just flat out me. So yeah, that's it, me.
All righty, next up, Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Hey, Justin, I know that you've known Trey, back since you guys were in Georgia. Just how proud are you of him to see him step up the way he did today?
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. I mean, we've been working out since like junior year of high school. We played against each other in high school. So just seeing him, his hard work pay off. I know the kind of guy he is. I know how hard he works. So just seeing that he's having success on the field is just great to see.
All right, we'll do two more. Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Justin, looking ahead, 6-0, do you deserve to be in the playoff?
Do we deserve to be in the playoff?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
Because we're one of the top 4 teams in the country.
All righty, we'll wrap it up with Doug Lesmerises, Cleveland.com.
Justin, how would you grade this overall team performance? Kind of the last thing you get to show anybody before the playoff committee makes its decision. You ran for a bunch, defense played well. How overall did you guys play, do you think?
On offense, of course, we were down a lot of guys on offense, defense, and even special teams. But I think, more than anything, our team showed, fight. And that's been our motto the whole year. And, I mean, no matter, how we played in the first half, I think we came back and fought our butts off in the second half. So, we just did whatever we could to win the game. And I think everybody kind of knew going into the locker room after the first half that win this game. So I'm just proud of, our brotherhood and the way all the guys came out there and fought in the second half.
All right, Justin, congratulations. Thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
That was Justin Fields at the podium there after Ohio State's big win over Northwestern for the Big Ten championship game. We're waiting for more players and coaches to come out. They should be there shortly. Normally they rotate in there pretty quickly. Likely that we will hear from Trey Sermons after his big game. Justin, what do you think? You think he'll be next?
He should be here at sometime soon. But thing that stands out to me, Justin Fields just said, hand up, I had a bad game, 2 interceptions, only 114 yards passing, less than a 50% completion percentage. So
okay, Mike,
he said it's on him.
Set. We got Coach Day.
All right, here's head coach Ryan Day.
Go right to questions, I guess.
Yep. Coach Day, thank you very much. Congratulations. We will start out the questioning with Joey Kaufman from the Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, congrats on today's win. This is actually looking ahead a little bit, but there's been some talk from other coaches about the postseason and the Rose Bowl and the ability to have wanting families at that postseason event or bowl game like the Rose Bowl. What are your thoughts on that, and what would you like to see happen?
Yeah, I honestly have not even thought about that yet. I mean, every ounce of my energy has been focused on this game. It was a really hard week for a lot of reasons. Losing Chris Olave and Baron Browning and Drew Chrisman and some major contributors in all 3 phases. It was tough. And then we lose Jackson. And, it was stress. And we knew this was not going to be easy. This is not a team that gives you anything. And so all of our energy has been focused towards that. I did see the comments that were made. I also agree that I think, families need to be there. These guys have been away from their families for a long time. Now, the logistics and all that, I have not put any energy into thinking through that. So it's easy for me to say. But I'll, after, enjoy this a little bit, try to, go through that and try to put more thought behind it.
All right, we'll go next to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill?
Hey, Ryan. It seemed like you were pretty intent on trying to throw the ball for really the first 3 quarters of the game, even though it seemed like Northwestern was pretty intent on not letting you do that and take shots down the field. Just when did you come around to sticking with the run? Why do you think it took so long maybe to get to that point?
Yeah, we we're always going to be aggressive. That's just the way we are. And, just didn't execute great. I think we'll probably look back and have a lot to coach off of, to fix. But the run game started to go, and the front run for over 300 plus yards. We wanted to kind of throw on them early, wear them down a little bit, and then run it a little bit in the second half. And that's kind of what played out. Now, it wasn't clean. Certainly didn't execute the way we wanted to. But, at the same time, at the end of the week, we're losing guys that we've been practicing. We had 10 days of practice with certain guys in certain spots, and then we had to move people around. It wasn't clean, and not making excuses. It's just what it was. That's what this whole season's been. I mean, this game was a microcosm of what these kids have been through this season. They've been through adversity. They've been through a lot. And I just think that this team is gritty. They're tough. They pull for each other. There's been games where the offense has played really good. Defense just been okay. And now this game's kind of, vice versa a little bit. And I got to tell you what, this is one of my favorite teams I've ever been around. And maybe not because, of what's gone on all the time on the field, but more importantly, that just this team is so tough. They've been through so much, and they just don't flinch. And I cannot give this team enough credit. And I'll say this, if we had to play one game against anybody in the country, I'll take the Ohio State Buckeyes.
All righty, we'll go next to Tim May from Leonard Monroe. Tim?
Hey, thanks, Mike. Ryan, just in a nutshell, Trey Sermon, he looked like that back everybody talked about a long time ago. I mean, when the holes were there, he flashed through them. When the holes weren't there, he bounced outside or made moves. Just what was your view of all of that? And just talk to me about the game he had.
He ran hard, like you said. just, the offensive line played unbelievable. The tight ends played really hard. They're the guys that get lost in the mix too a lot, these tight ends. I mean, they block their tails off. But he ran. I mean, he ran with a different look in his eye. And sometimes when you come off of an injury, it takes a little while to get into a rhythm. And then, Master went down and he kind of just stepped up in a big, big way. And I'm really happy for him that this is another guy who overcame adversity. There was a time probably after week 2 or week 3, we really weren't sure, what's going on. Just maybe not hitting the hole right, didn't have a lot of confidence. And we didn't know Trey. So we weren't sure exactly what we had there. And then to see him persevere again through all that, to play the way he did in this game and break records like that, that's tremendous against a really good run-stopping defense.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All righty, next up, Jared Smalley. Jared?
Ryan, I know this might be hard to answer at this point, but the 21-day rule in the Big Ten, obviously that's going to affect you as you move forward, potentially to January 1. What information do you have on that? And how many of the players who sat out today because of a positive test or tracing, how many of them might be affected by that?
A few. We kind of have a little bit of each. It's a mixed bag. I know they're looking at it right now. I don't know exactly where that's at in terms of, coming out with more information on that, but I know it's being looked at very hard.
All righty, next up, Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, can you kind of go into more detail with Chris Olave, just what it's like to tell someone like that they're not gonna be able to play in a game like this, and then just also what his absence meant for the team?
It was significant. I mean, this is a guy who's just been unbelievable for us in big games. And then, a few days before the game, you don't have him. You kind of go into scramble mode, and then you have to move guys around. I thought Julian, though, stepped up and played a lot of reps for us. He played gunner. He made some nice catches early. So he did a good job stepping up and playing for him. But, when you have a rhythm with somebody, certainly, Justin and he had a really good feel for each other. That was significant. But it's not any kind of excuse. I thought Julian played well. Garrett made some really nice catches. He played well. I thought the catch he made there in the fourth quarter, that catch where he got his foot in bounds, that was a huge catch. I think Garrett really took a step forward this week in leadership with that group. And I'm really proud of those guys. And I told them it's never easy to win a championship. It just isn't. That's not the way life works, and certainly not in 2020.
All righty, next up, we'll go to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, Brian, how concerned are you about Justin's thumb and how it might affect him down the road, and also about Master Teague's status?
Yeah, I think it looked to me, in just talking to him quickly, like it was just a sprain. So I think hopefully he'll recover pretty quickly from that. But we'll have to see. I don't know much about it. Master, was out of the game. We'll have to just kind of see what the doctors are saying about him right now. Over the next couple of days, and then we'll try to get you an update.
All right, we got time for just a couple more with Coach Day. We'll go to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors. Dan?
Ryan, with Justin dealing with that injury and as well as Trey played, do you regret at all not committing to the run earlier?
No. It's like the same thing saying, like, did you go for it on 4th down? I mean, we're always going to be aggressive. That's just the way we are, and we just have to execute better. We got to coach better. We got to execute better. But against this team, you have to get them on their heels a little bit. If you don't do that and loosen them up, it's a long day running. Not too many people run the ball against Northwestern, and the only way to do that is to go after them and be aggressive. And we didn't hit those shots, but what we did is we backed them up, we loosened them up, and then I felt like we were able to run the ball and control the ball in the second half. But the defense really did a great job getting us the ball back, and they played really, really well in the second half. So the run game and the defense was excellent. I thought special teams was solid. We just didn't do as good a job in the past game. But hey, listen, that's kind of how it goes. They got a really good team too.
All right, we'll wrap up Coach Day with Doug Limmer. Doug Limmer. He's Cleveland.com.
Ryan, as you said, it did feel like this game was kind of a microcosm of the season in a lot of ways. You know that every time you step on the field, everything you do, you're being evaluated by the people who make the decision that matters. Is it a little hard to evaluate you guys? Chris Olave's not playing, Baron Browning's not playing, you're trailing at halftime, but then you come back and win. How would you describe anybody trying to evaluate you guys right now based on today and your whole season?
I'm glad you asked the question, Doug. I'm just going to take a few minutes. What this team has been through, every conference is different because of the way things have gone this year. Everyone's experienced different things. what this team has gone through, I've said it all over and over, but I don't know if anybody really truly listens. They started off and had 2 spring practices, then they go in quarantine, they go away for a long time. They come into preseason camp, and then they find out that the season's been pushed back. Then a few days later, they find out the season's been canceled. Then for a month, they don't have a target. They have nothing to work for a month. This, up until September, whatever that was, September 19th. And they decided, no, we want to play. We want to play safely. And they fought. And they went public. And they spoke up. And then on October 23rd, we played our first game. And the virus, everyone in the North goes inside. And the virus spiked. And because of that, we had to deal with players being out of games. We had to deal with cancellation of games. We had a hard time getting into a rhythm on all 3 phases. And then we get into this game here. And it's, things maybe aren't clicking as good as they usually do. And we find a way to fight back in the second half. And in a world where it's all about wins and losses, this team has learned so much this season, which is like the reason why we even started playing college football in the first place. It's the reason why we play and we started coaching, was to see the growth of young men like this. And all I'm going to say is this. People can say whatever they want. They have their opinions. I'm not going to talk about other teams because I think we have enough to talk about positively about our program. But I'll say this. If we have an opportunity to play anybody in the country in one game, I'm going to take the Ohio State Buckeyes. I feel strongly about this team. We're made of unbelievable character, and they've been through so much. And I think there's a lot of people in the country that would agree with me.
All right, Austin, I think you just had one clarifying question.
Yeah, Ryan, with Justin's thump, that didn't look like it happened until late. Is that right? It was
yeah, I don't know exactly when it happened, but yeah, you're right. It wasn't something that happened in the first quarter or something like that.
Okay.
I forget.
And the one guy who doesn't seem to be getting a lot of attention for what he did is Justin Hilliard today.
Oh my God! How about the interception he had in the one-on-one? I mean, he played his tail off. Yeah, I mean, there's, because of the game and because of all the things that people are going to want to talk about, there's a lot of things that happened today that people need to, really respect the fact that we won a Big Ten championship. And this is like Proctor's interception, like you said, Justin Hilliard, some of the punts. How about Zach Hoover stepping up? I mean, he never punted before in a game. I think that was like the first time he's ever punted. He did a great job. Julian Fleming stepping up in a big way. Dallas Gant having to play in a big way. I mean, there was a lot of guys that stepped up to win this game, and it doesn't just happen. And I'm really proud of this team.
All right, Coach Day, thank you very much. Congratulations again. Have a safe trip home.
All right, guys. Thanks.
We'll bring in Trey Sermon next for a couple minutes.
Right there, Trey.
All right, Trey, congratulations on a big game today. We'll start it out with Patrick Murphy from 247.
Trey, I talked to people down at Oklahoma when you first got here, or when you first committed, and they talked about your ability, and we'd seen it in bits and pieces. Was today the kind of complete picture that you wanted to paint if you'd had a full season, a full off season to kind of showcase what you could do as a Buckeye?
I definitely think so. I mean, I was able to just really just get in a groove and just keep it rolling. And I mean, my teammates were there to support me. So, I mean, it just kind of made it easy for me.
All right, next up, we'll go to Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now on SI.
Hey, Trey, congratulations on a big day personally and as a team. Can you take us inside the locker room at halftime when things weren't really clicking offensively in the first half, and you had a couple of good runs but didn't get a bunch of touches? Just what was it like at halftime, and did you take anything personally away that really made you want to perform well in the second half like you did?
Our coaches just came and talked to us and really told us that only we were stopping ourselves. I mean, we just had a couple penalties and just making a couple mistakes. And I mean, our mentality was just to make the most of every opportunity and execute. And I mean, I feel like we came out and did that in the second half.
Alrighty, next up, we'll go to Bill Landis from The Athletic. Bill?
Trey, I'm sure you're not aware of this, how close you are to the record, but your carry where you broke the record, you certainly ran like a guy who knew he needed about 10 or so more yards to get there. Just the physicality that you ran with today. I know you had some long hits, but it seemed like you were breaking a ton of tackles too. Just where did that come from? And I guess what was your mindset today playing that physically?
My mindset is just to make the most of my opportunities. I mean, I'm aware of my ability, and I know I'm more than capable of making plays and just playing my game, which is, I mean, making guys miss and winning at the second level.
Alrighty, next we'll go to Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Trey, I know you had a solid game today, but this offensive line hasn't been together for literally a month intact, the starting units. To see them block the way they did for you today, just talk about that a little bit.
It was amazing, man. I mean, those guys played their tails off. They fought hard from start to finish. And, I mean, I'm just grateful. I mean, they made my job easy, just moving the line of scrimmage, controlling it, and, I mean, just dominating up front.
All right, we'll do two more with Trey. We'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Scoop.
Trey, athletes talk about being in the zone all the time. Baseball players, the ball looks big when they're in the zone. Were you in the zone today, and what's that feel like when you hit all of the cutbacks and you find all of the holes?
Well, when I'm in the zone, I mean, I just feel like personally everything just really slows down. The game really just slows down, and I'm able to just see everything develop and just continue to be decisive and just make the right reads and make the right cuts.
And was that today?
Yes, sir.
All right, Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Trey, Coach Day said that early in the year when things were not really going your way, you know, there were questions probably on both sides, from the coaches and probably from you. Just give me a sense of their state of mind at that point and what turned it around for you.
Really, they were just telling me to keep fighting. I mean, they brought me here because, I mean, they brought me here for a reason. I mean, they know that I'm a great player and I can make an impact. And I just had to really just believe that in myself as well. Just trust my coaching and just trust my teammates around me.
All right, Trey, congratulations once again. And we got Justin Hilliard up here next. Trey, have a great trip back to Columbus, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
We'll bring in Justin Hilliard now.
Justin Hilliard about to take the microphone there in Indianapolis. Justin Holbrook, what do you think of what the players and Coach Day have had to say so far?
I think the interesting thing was Justin Fields with that thumb injury. Not sure what it is. He said it happened later in the game, not a first half injury. Just kind of keep an eye on that if it's going to affect him for the next couple of days or weeks. And then Master Teague at some point went out in the game. That's why they relied on Trey Sermon. Obviously, he had a whale of a game, so you're not worried about that. But it's nice to have that 1-2 combination if Trey gets tired or vice versa. So you love having a guy like Master Teague be able to provide that juice when you need him. And they're two guys, obviously, Master Teague and Fields, that you want completely healthy for a playoff game.
Absolutely. Like they said, Justin Hilliard's about to take the mic there. He had a great game on defense.
Yeah, he sure did. That interception, I think that was one of the game changers. Interception in the end zone, Northwestern's first drive of the second half, and they could take I think they were up 10-6 at that point, so they could have taken a 17-6 lead. Could have really changed the game if they had a touchdown, but instead Justin Hilliard, guy from Cincinnati, comes up with the interception, gives Ohio State the ball back, and then Pete Werner forces a fumble, and Justin Hilliard is there to recover. And not just that, but Justin Hilliard stepping in big time for Baron Browning, a solid guy for Ohio State at the linebacker position, but he had to miss the game for whatever reason today, and someone had to step up in his shoes, and that man was Justin Hilliard.
Yeah, he did a really, really great job. Again, just waiting for Justin Hilliard to come out during this post-game press conference. We'll transition back over to us for just a minute there so you don't have to float around looking at all of the reporters there on the Zoom call. We learned that Teague went out. That was something we didn't know. We learned that from Coach Day.
Yeah, maybe it was a little rumblings of that he wasn't back in the game, and maybe it's just because Trey Sermon was having such a good game that we kind of forgot about their other running back who was also very good in Master Teague. But yeah, we really didn't see him at all in the second half, and he had a pretty good first half if I remember. So we'll be interested to see what that injury is and what it looks like.
Justin's thumb injury, is it his throwing hand or is it the other hand?
I didn't see. I know he said that it was affecting him. So you'd assume at that point, if it is affecting his throwing, then it's going to be the throwing hand, but I don't want to speculate. So
Yeah.
if he says it's affecting him, though, I believe him, because obviously
course.
you know when something's wrong with yourself and you're trying to throw the ball.
Yeah. So he'll get that checked out soon there, and hopefully it won't be anything too major. He's got how many days till
January 1st.
13
so we're
days.
less than 2 weeks away.
Yeah, 13 days there. He would have to recover. So, again, waiting on Justin Hilliard to talk about the defensive side of things. We heard from Justin Fields, Ryan Day, and Trey Sermon, kind of like we predicted. Really humble guy, just talking about the offensive line and how much support that they gave him as well. So,
Giving credit to the defense, too, and I think we have Justin Hilliard right now.
it looks like we've got Jerry Emig back up there.
Oh, okay.
All right, Josh Meyer taking the podium right now. Actually, instead, I didn't have Jerry's microphone on. So here's Josh. Maybe. We'll see. They don't want to leave the celebrations. I don't blame them.
Oh, how we doing, guys? Josh, congratulations on Big Ten title number 4 for you.
Thank you so much.
We'll start out the questioning with Brendan Gulick, Buckeyes Now in SI.
Josh, congratulations. I'm sure it's fun to be putting that hat on and getting a 4th ring here. But I'm not sure you've ever had a chance to block for a running back that went off the way Trey Sermon did this afternoon. Is there something as an offensive lineman that you can notice when a guy really gets into a zone where he ran for 271 yards in the second half alone?
Yeah. We had for starters, I did want to make this note early on. There was a lot of questions about our running game. And I got to tell you guys, it was the most, it was just the best feeling. You know, I asked Jerry to get the stat for me. They allowed 3.7 yards per rushing attempt, and we averaged over 9 on like 40 rushing attempts or something like that. So, I mean, I'm just over, I can't even express how happy I am about that. But yeah, I mean, with Trey, I mean, I don't know. We see it. I mean, really, we see it from a different angle than you guys do, but we see it the same way you guys do. After he broke a couple out, even in the first half, I was like, oh, he's about to go off. I knew it was just a matter of time. And man, did it feel good.
Alrighty, next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Josh, can you walk it through a little bit for those of us who on the outside dealing with getting a positive case, missing a game, trying to come back, reacclimate, then play right into a championship game? I mean, you hadn't played in like 5 or 6 weeks, really, it seems like. What has this process been like for you, and then to cap it off the way you did today?
Yeah, Indiana was the last game I played in, and the process was awful. I got to be honest with you guys. I mean, it is what it is, and there's nothing I could do about it. But the process was terrible. I had to sit there for 10 days and basically do nothing. I mean, I had schoolwork and stuff I had to finish up for my internship. But other than that, I couldn't work out because I couldn't get my heart rate up, and so I was just sitting there, and it was probably 10 of the hardest days I've ever had in my life. And with the Michigan State game, I was just so proud and so happy for our guys on the offensive line who stepped up to the plate and the way they stepped up to the plate. But, sitting there watching your own team play when you have so much invested into it too, it's awful. I don't have any other way to put it. When you invest so much and you sacrifice so much for something and then you have to sit out, it's hard to put into words how bad it is.
All right, we'll do 2 more because we got Justin Hilliard ready for you. So let's go to Jared Smalley.
Josh, just how big a difference does it make to have the band back together again? And how did that evolve through the game? Did you notice a pattern where, maybe early on there's some communication issues, and then later on it gets smooth?
Yeah, there was a lot of things that went into it. It was awesome getting back out there and getting to play with the boys again. To be honest, in terms of like conditioning and stuff like that, I was in better shape. I thought I might have had a bit of a hard time with it just because of sitting out for 10 days and literally not working out. I figured I was going to be pretty tired at the end of this game, and I was, but not how I thought I was going to be. So that was good, and it seemed like it was the same way for Nick and Thayer. So that was good. And then I think part of it was figuring out what they were doing. You know, there were looks that we knew they were going to give us, and they were disguising them pretty well. And they were moving a lot right before the snap, trying to disguise what they were doing. And once we kind of figured them out, then we were able to, bust some big runs open.
All righty. And last questions for Josh. Go to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
And Josh, what you were just saying about your own situation with the virus. I mean, then what's kind of your emotional reaction this week when you see other players starting to deal with that? Maybe especially Chris Olave, who came back from, was so motivated to come back this season and kind of be here for moments like this.
Yeah, I mean, it just breaks your heart for guys like that. I talked to the team about it before the game when we were in the huddle. I was just like, one of the things that we had talked about is how, one of the things that has gotten brought up a lot this season has been how things get taken away from you in life at times and how it can be really hard. And I said, I was like, this season, it's everything. It's so many things have gotten taken away from us. And the point I was trying to make was that so many things have gotten taken away from us, but we're still here. And then I was just talking about, the brotherhood and the love that we have for each other. And I was like, just keep Chris Olave, Baron Browning, some of the guys that couldn't be here, keep those guys in your hearts, because I'm telling you, it was awful. I know what he's going through right now. And it's even worse for him because this is a Big Ten championship game. I only missed one game. So I can only imagine how bad he's hurting right now, wanting to be with us and wanting to experience this with us. So, God, I feel so bad for those guys.
All right, Josh, thank you very much for your time and congratulations again. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. Have a good one.
Like I said, we'll bring in Justin Hilliard will be our last player here.
Yeah, here we go.
Justin, grab a water.
Thank you.
What's up? I'm good, dog.
Hello. Justin, congratulations on another Big Ten title. We'll start out with Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Justin, you've had to step into a bigger role the last two games. I know that was 2 weeks ago, and you've kind of performed. And today, you had that interception. Can you talk about that interception and why you were able to pull that off?
Yeah, first of all, it's much nicer talking to you guys today. Last time I talked to the media was finding out the TM North game was canceled. But I would say that whole play was, like I always say, it's something that we practice. Our coaches put us in the best positions, man, to make plays, and I felt like I was extremely ready. I was ready for him to run that fade, and I was glad I was able to make that play.
All right, we'll go next to Austin Ward, Letterman Row.
Justin, I know that you never envisioned, 6 years down the line that this is when it would finally happen for you. But, I mean, this is what you envisioned. And to all the adversity you faced, what were the emotions to have delivered such a big game when it mattered so much today?
Yeah, oh my gosh, man. It's just this whole journey, man, has been something that's been tough, but it's been such a blessing at the same time. I know earlier this week I was able to talk to the younger guys at senior tackle, and that was just so emotional for me because just the journey I've been on and the guys that have been here with me to stick with me and push me through some of those tougher times. And same thing as today, man. I knew I had to step up today in a bigger role, and I'm glad I was able to.
All right, we'll go next to Whitney Harding, WCMH.
Hey, Justin. Obviously, in the first half, it was hard for your offense to get going. So on the defensive side, what were you guys talking about to, keep this game, stay in the game defensively? Because you guys really kept this team in this game.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it's funny. It's like there's panic around everywhere except for on the defensive sideline and on a defensive huddle, because we're trying to figure stuff out. We're trying to make adjustments and things like that. And I would say the whole I guess attitude on the sideline was mostly just trying to figure out what adjustments we need to make. Because I felt honestly, if I have to watch the film, but I felt like guys were running to the ball maybe too much to where we're overrunning certain things and things like that. So the effort was there. I think it was just
a matter of fact that we just got to settle down and just play the ball that we know we can.
All righty, we'll go next to Rob Aller, Columbus Dispatch.
Hey, Justin, you talked about the adversity. I assume you think your name's going to be called, Ohio State's name is going to be called as one of the 4 playoff teams. What's that going to mean? How is that going to feel?
Oh, so much. I mean, we have a saying around here, get to Indy, because we know if we get to Indy and win and dominate that game, then we have a great chance of getting into the playoff. And so that's been the whole focus right now. It's been the whole focus this whole season was just to get to Indy. And now we did that. We won this game. We're looking forward to the next mission, and we'll wait tomorrow to find out what that is.
Are you one of the best 4 teams? I assume you think you are, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the adversity this team has been through. I know we don't have many games as some, but if you look at our body of work and some of the things we're able to do with a lack of coaches, as in coaches testing positive, same with players, and how we were able to come together and win some of these tough games. I mean, that was a good team. If people really watched that game, that was a really good team, and they had some really good players. So I respect them greatly. So yeah, whatever the next mission is, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
We'll go next to Doug Lamarice, Cleveland.com.
Justin, you mentioned some of the coaches you guys were missing. What was it like for the linebackers? I'm not sure how long Al Washington was out, but what's it like when your position coach isn't with you?
Yeah, it's different, but like we said, we have to. Everyone has to step up. Guys who aren't playing have to step up. They have to be aware of what's going on with the offense. Other coaches have to step up and take that role. I mean, the coaches we lost. I'm not going to say any names because all the violations and stuff, but the coaches that we lost, I feel like the younger coaches, the leadership on this team was able to fill that role really well.
All right, we'll do 2 more, and then we'll get Justin out of here. Let's go to Tim May, Butter Monroe.
Yeah, Justin, take your interception and your fumble recovery out of the mix. What is the play you're going to remember most, you think, from this game? What's the play that's still going on in your head? And it could be offense or defense, Trey Sermon, whatever. What's the play you're going to remember most from this championship game?
I wouldn't even say it's a play. I think the attitude of our defense and our team going out in that second half, we had so much confidence because we knew exactly what we had to do. We knew what we had to fix. And I felt like that moment, I'll never forget that moment. We were coming out in the second half. Coach Combs told us exactly what we needed to fix, exactly what we needed to do. And we were confident about it. We had no worries because we knew what we were capable of. And I'm glad we were able to pull it off.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All righty, we'll wrap up, Justin, with Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Yeah, Justin, can you share what Coach Combs said in terms of what those adjustments were? You mentioned dealing with the cutbacks, but what else was that conversation?
I'm not going to get into like the exact details of it, but I would say mostly it was some tackling. What they gave us in that Wildcat formation was something that we knew they were going to run, but they were running some different things. We know that as Ohio State, we're going to get different looks that they haven't shown, and we're just trying to figure those things out. And yeah, there's a lot of details in it I'm not going to go over, but he did a great job of doing that.
All right, Justin, congratulations. Have a safe trip back to Columbus, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, that concludes today's post-game press conferences with the head coach Ryan Day and several players there. Listening to Jerry Emig a little bit here. Justin, do you want to listen in on him a little bit?
I think they're just going to give some media availability maybe after the college football playoff is announced of who made it. So
okay.
I think that he's just going to go over what time we're going to hear from Coach Day tomorrow.
Okay.
But I don't think they know yet, is what he's saying.
All right. So we'll get an email about it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So just wrapping up there, Ohio State 4 time in a row, Big Ten championships there. Moving on, we'll see tomorrow if they make the playoff there. Justin, little game update for others who are trying to make the playoff right now too.
Yeah, Clemson, Notre Dame playing right now. Towards the end of the first quarter, Clemson is up 7-3. They just scored. So that's a very, very big game with college football playoff implications. Obviously, yep. Notre Dame beat them in overtime in the regular season, so Clemson pretty much has to win to secure a spot in the playoff.
And it's certainly a possibility because they obviously did not have Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, they didn't have him for that game. Yeah. And credit to to Clemson for being that close without their starting quarterback. And obviously he's back now and they've got the lead.
Where are they playing today?
That is the ACC championship. It might be in Charlotte.
All right.
I'm
well,
not positive.
Hopefully they'll keep the fans off the field.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Watch NBC4 at 6, 7 and Pepsi Sports Saturday at 7:30 for more on the Buckeyes and what's next, what we'll see from the playoff. Whitney, Jared, and Justin will bring that to you, and then more on NBC4i.com as well. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya.